MAAC can be relied upon to see you through.
Spars had worked for MAAC before. He judged a poetry slam for them. So when the 30th anniversary happened and MAAC were looking for stories, they did a big shout out over social media looking for stories for the 30 years. And Spars had the idea of, let's take that further and collect some stories.
I thought, now there's an idea. How about we get a load of the people involved with the air ambulance to write poems or letters or stories about their experience? And that's pretty much where it all started.
When we started our community interest company, the Word Association, 3 years ago, our absolute aim was to help marginalised communities and isolated individuals to get their voices out there, to get their stories told, to reframe their experiences, and to give them publishing opportunities. So the idea of doing this for someone like MAAC, so telling the stories of past patients, of paramedics and doctors, from the staff, the volunteers, for the trustees, of such an important organisation, felt like a really great thing to do.
I think we got involved with the project because both Holly and I have a real passion for getting people's stories out there, told in their own words as well, if we possibly can. I know a lot of people go, oh, poetry, terrified of it, which is cool, each to their own. So we were on hand to help out where necessary.
The team at MAAC were fantastic. They approached people who they thought might be interested in getting involved with the project. They gave us, they spoke to people, got permission from certain people. I think a lot of people said yes, which is fantastic. Gave us those contact details and we got in touch. And we arranged a series of workshops over Zoom, poetry workshops really, writing workshops. Some people wanted one-to-one, they wanted phone calls, or they wanted one-to-one Zoom meetings. I know Spars met with a couple of people in person. Obviously had to be very careful because of the pandemic.
But it's all about having a chat, having a conversation about what's gone on and not being too restrictive. The Zoom chats were great. We had a lot of fun with those. But it's difficult to define a creative process because each person has a different one. And you go off and do your own thing, and that's pretty much the important bit, I think. Make sure you do your own thing and you don't try and copy anyone else.
I first heard about the air ambulance when I was 15, as my mum had a horse riding accident that left her paralysed. She was airlifted to Oswestry, the spinal injury centre at the time, and we knew as a family then how just incredible these people were. They made her feel calm, they made her feel safe, they prevented any further injury, and they made a real difference at this awful time in our life.
What I learnt about MAAC was that it runs entirely on charitable donations. There's no government funding, which I found odd, perhaps interesting as well, that something so critical and so needed relies on charitable donations. It takes about in excess of 10 million a year to run the whole thing.
The staff are incredible, they're all really lovely, there's a great sense of humour coming through, there's a great sense of warmth coming through at every level, and people really, really want to make a difference. That resounded right through every person we spoke to, that was the message really.
So the whole 30 years of MAAC experience was a great one. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was very, very humbling as well to talk to people who have had their lives saved by the Midland Air Ambulance and the critical care car. It really is humbling.
It's been really interesting, very humbling. It's been incredibly moving, but we've also had a real laugh. We've met some really brilliant people. It's been a very uplifting and joyous experience. People who've been through horrific things are, they feel greatly indebted to MAAC, but they've turned their lives around, and themselves and their families are just absolute sources of inspiration. So it's been a really wonderful experience for us, and we feel really privileged to be part of it, and we've really loved every second of it. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's the Midland Air Ambulance saving lives again.